So today we're going to look at two very different kinds of clocks. One is this famous, kind of terrifying symbol of global risk, basically a warning of a potential apocalypse. And the other? Well, the other is a literal lifeline, counting down the seconds we have to survive. Let's see what they can tell us about our world. 89 seconds. I mean, what can you even do in 89 seconds? It's less time than it takes to make a cup of coffee. But what if it meant something a whole lot more?
Really think about that. Why if that tiny amount of time was the official, honest-to-goodness countdown to a worldwide disaster? It is a terrifying thought, and it comes from some of the smartest and most worried people on the entire planet.
So where does this scary 89-second number come from? Well, it's from a concept that's been hanging over our heads for more than 75 years now, the doomsday clock.
All right, so what is this thing? First off, it's not a real clock ticking on a wall somewhere. It's a symbol, a really powerful one, created way back after World War II by the actual scientists who developed the atomic bomb. They knew firsthand the terrifying power they just let loose on the world. And on their clock, midnight isn't just the start of a new day, it's the end of everything. Annihilation.
Okay, so this timeline, it's basically a roller coaster of global anxiety. Look, it starts in 1947 at a pretty tense 7 minutes to midnight. Then, by 1953, the US and the Soviets are testing H-bombs, and bam, we jump to just 2 minutes from the end. But then, look at 1991. The Cold War is over, everyone breathes this huge sigh of relief, and the clock moves to 17 minutes, the safest we've ever been, according to the clock. And now? Well, from that 17 minutes of breathing room, we've swung all the way back to just 89 seconds. That is the closest to midnight we have ever been.
And here's the thing, it's not just about nukes anymore. The game has changed. Nuclear weapons are for sure still the biggest worry, but the scientists setting this clock are now looking at a whole bunch of other threats to our existence. The relentless creep of climate change, the wild, unpredictable power of things like AI, and even the way information itself is being weaponized to tear us apart and make it impossible to solve anything. And this really gets to the core of what the clock is all about. One of its co-founders, Eugene Rabinowitz, said it perfectly. It's not supposed to jump around with every single news headline or political spat. In other words, it's a measure of the fundamental level of danger we're living in, a danger we've created for ourselves. It's supposed to be a constant nudge, a reminder for leaders to look past the day-to-day and focus on our long-term survival.
Okay, so the doomsday clock uses a minute as this big, slow, symbolic thing. But what happens when a minute is just a minute? You know, a literal 60 seconds standing between you and a disaster? And that brings us to our second clock, the one that counts real, actual seconds. A really fascinating study from MIT looked into this very idea. They asked a simple but powerful question. Just how many lives could we save if we had a tiny bit of warning before a massive earthquake?
And the answer they came up with? 45%. Just let that sink in for a second. Nearly half.
Yeah, that's the unbelievable finding. If people got a clear, no-nonsense warning just 1 minute, 60 seconds, before an earthquake hits, they estimated that almost half of all the deaths could be prevented. That single minute gives people just enough time to do the one thing that matters. Get out of a building that's about to collapse or dive under a heavy desk. It is literally a life-saving minute. So here we are, with these two totally different clocks, both ticking away for completely different reasons. One is about trying to prevent a global catastrophe, and the other is about trying to survive a personal one. Let's just put them side by side. You've got the doomsday minute, right? It's a metaphor, it's abstract, it moves at a snail's pace over years, and its whole purpose is to get policymakers to change their long-term plans. Then you have the survival minute. It's 100% literal, it's tangible, it's happening right now, and its goal is to trigger immediate action to save your own life. And that really boils down to who the warning is for. The doomsday clock? That's a message screamed at presidents and prime ministers, a plea for them to use diplomacy and make better policies. But an earthquake warning? That's a direct order to you. Get to safety, protect yourself, and survive the next 60 seconds. You know, when you step back, whether we're talking about a global scale or a super personal one, both of these clocks are telling us the same thing. Every single second counts. I mean, think about it. Our survival really hinges on how we use time. It could be the years of patient, sometimes frustrating diplomacy it takes to push that symbolic doomsday clock back a few precious seconds. Or
It could be the 60 seconds of pure instinct and action it takes to get out of a collapsing building. At the end of the day, it's all about recognizing the value of time and acting on the warnings we're given. So it all leaves us with this one big question, right? The clock is always ticking. From the massive stage of world politics down to our own personal safety, time is the one thing we can't get back. One clock warns our leaders to use their years wisely. The other demands that we use our seconds perfectly. The real question for all of us is, are we listening to either?